What's up, everybody? We're back with our survivor picks in NFL Week 9. Not a ton of key upsets that are knocking a lot of people out in Week 8, but at the end of the day, you are one step and 1 week closer to winning your survivor league. So hopefully you can use this video to progress to Week 10. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comment section what you're thinking about taking or your situation currently in your league, and I can do everything I can to provide any bit of insight that you might use to help you progress forward. Taking a look at the slate for Week 9, I got 9 teams here, and these games, as we start to get later in the year, I'm going to have them start. They're going to start ranging a lot. You have the Eagles here at -13, all the way down to the Ravens and Vikings that are road dogs at -3. There's going to be a lot of opportunity, a lot of disparity within your survivor leagues in the back half of this season. So that's why I'm going to be talking about a lot of games. And as always, it becomes paramount and extremely important as the year goes on to keep an eye at the team's weekly schedules, because as this league gets closer and closer to being finished, you're going to need every bit of edge that you can get. So taking a look at the teams, we're going to start, as we always do, with teams that I think you should proceed with caution on. And to no surprise, I'm talking about the Packers, who are reeling right now as a team on the road against the divisional opponents, being the Lions. This line has now moved to -3 since open. So that shows you that already the public is already siding with the Lions in this one over the Packers. I say proceed with caution because obviously this follows the rule. If you don't really want to be taking teams that, one, look as bad as the Packers have been looking lately, two, are on the road, and three, and most importantly, playing a divisional opponent. So those are all red flags there. So something to definitely think twice about. That being said, I think this is a relatively safer spot as far as teams that are playing divisional road games go. The Packers are reeling. Like I said, they've lost 4 straight, I believe. They are really far back behind the Vikings in terms of this NFC North standings. This is a game that the Packers need to win in terms to even be relevant and have a shot at the playoffs. And also am impressed, despite the loss against the Bills, I am impressed with the way they played and the way they battled through adversity against a really, really good opponent. Mostly impressed with receiver Romeo Doubs, who in the prior weeks couldn't, no one on this Packers receiving corps catch a ball. He made some pretty impressive catches that game. And if he can build on that and just keep getting more and more rapport and connection with Rodgers, I think that's going to help his offense click a lot more too. At the end of the day, and you watch this Lions team, uh, when they played good defenses, I'm thinking the Patriots and the Cowboys of recently, they have not been able to put up points. They've really struggled. This Packers defense is certainly the strongest of this team, so expect the Lions to struggle putting up points, but also um, the Packers run game. Aaron Jones ran wild against a really, really good defense in Buffalo. He's playing one of the him and the Packers offense are playing one of the worst defense in the league against Detroit. I think this is a good bounce back game opportunity for the Packers. So I had to put in perceived with caution because it's a road game against a divisional opponent, and I'm never going to be all that surprised, especially when they're only favored by 3.5 points if that team loses. But all things considering, I think this is a relatively better pick than the traditional road divisional opponent game. Another one I want to talk about is the Ravens at the Saints. This line moved, is teetering and tottering back from 3 and 2.5 here. Saints look really good against the Raiders, which isn't saying much because the Raiders aren't that great of a football team. But they match up well with the Ravens because of the fact they want to have a solid run game and get the ball to Kamara a lot. And that's something that the Ravens have been struggling with their front seven, stopping, a solid running back, either catching the ball out of the backfield, which Kamara does so well, or running the ball between the tackles. So expect a big dose of Kamara, but also Taysom Hill. This is a prime game for him to really step up for the Saints. I did like the acquisition recently of Roquan Smith to the Ravens. That's going to be an instant spark plug, as Smith is one of the best off-ball linebackers in the game. He's really impressed me throughout his young career, and looking forward to seeing him in the Ravens defense that can certainly use him in that front seven. I do think this is a game the Ravens win, though, just because the Lamar Jackson X factor, he seems to have games where he really figures it out and some games where he really doesn't. I'm hoping the best for him, but this 2.5, 3 point favorite on the road against a solid running football team like the Saints, is scary. So probably best to avoid the Ravens here as there are much better options. Best pick, I mean, I don't want to pick a team in the road. I was tempted to say it's the Chiefs, which I still think it could be. But Eagles on the road, they look unstoppable right now. That the really good football team and Jalen Hurts is taking a tremendous leap. Really helped by the addition of AJ Brown, who's been playing incredible for the Eagles on that offense. The Texans are still one of the worst teams in football, if not the worst, with a myriad of issues on their side, but especially the run defense. It makes me scared always picking the Eagles because they are undefeated, and you think it's going to get to their head, and they might drop a game. But being a short week with a lot less time to prepare on both sides, you want to take the team here that has a lot more talent, and that is certainly the Eagles. So I think this is a pretty safe bet, all things considering. That being said, though, the Eagles, you might have already picked them this season, and there's certainly a lot of other times to pick them later in the season. So something to consider if you're picking it. But you don't see teams favored by 13 points all that often. This might be a good spot to take the Eagles here. And then the best value here, talking about the Bengals at home against the Panthers. Now it's at 8.5 with 9 here. The reason being is that one, I think the Panthers have a good defense, but they're a bad football team and they're going to find ways to lose, as you saw Sunday against the Falcons. I think these last two games with the Panthers, like I said, big emotional games for them against divisional opponents. This is not the case here. Bengals still vying for that AFC North title and trying to, prove that last year's Super Bowl run was not a fluke. In addition, for the Bengals, they started out this year really rocky, especially because their own line, so many changes and so many shifts to that front five. They've started to get some more consistency. They got a little bit healthier, and they started to figure out that offensive pass blocking scheme and giving Joe Burrow much more time in the pocket to operate and do what he does best. So those are all things that are going really well for the Bengals. For the Panthers, they have a solid defense all around, and that is their saving grace. But otherwise, on offense, especially without Christian McCaffrey, they have very few things going for them. I like the Bengals here just because it's a great matchup, but also the value because you're not going to take the Bengals very many times the rest of the season. I'm looking at their schedule. Next week, you got them a bye. Then they're at Pittsburgh. They already dropped a game at Pittsburgh at home. Now they're on the road. This Pittsburgh team has gotten worse throughout the season. But that being said, you never know in a game against the road, against the divisional opponent, and especially a team you already lost to once. Tennessee, great coach. They're 5-2. Like, this is a team that we thought they'd all drop off this year, and they have a little bit, but they're still winning that division and looking really good doing it, despite some, playing some lackluster opponents. But Tennessee is always seemingly going to be relevant as long as Vrabel is under the regime. Obviously, Kansas City, one of the best few teams in football. Cleveland, once they get Deshaun Watson back and a divisional game at Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, as Tom Brady and his teams always seem to pick up steam later in the season. At New England, you're never going to want to be picking a game at New England for Survivor. That's just a good rule of thumb, like at least against New England. And then Buffalo, best team in football, and then the Ravens, divisional opponent, who is right now winning the division. So not really any time to take the Bengal. This is your week to take him. If you are even considering it, I think this was a great pick, as it's not often you get a best value pick that's also favored by more than a touchdown. So Bengals, great pick this week. Talking about the other games, you got the Bills with the Jets. Despite being a road game against the divisional opponent, the Bills are favored by almost 2 full touchdowns. Not much more to say about this. That's no surprise here. I see the Jets giving them a little bit better of a game than people imagine as their defense. Under head coach Robert Saleh looked pretty solid this year. But at the end of the day, with the pass rush the Bills can generate with only sending 4 guys, and the Jets struggles with pass blocking on the offensive line, and then Zach Wilson's tendency to turn the ball over under pressure leads me to believe that this is a pretty safe pick for the Bills without getting too deep into it. Chiefs here, this has gone to, I think, -12 since open. Obviously, still rolling despite losing Tyreek Hill this year, looking great. They're at home. They're playing the Titans, who have a rookie quarterback. How many rookie quarterbacks do you think can go into Arrowhead and beat Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in this offense and this team that looks so good? Chiefs are a pretty good spot here, but like I said, Mike Vrabel, one of the best coaches in the game, knows how to at the very least compete, if not win, with whatever talent he has around the football. I still think the Chiefs are a good pick because of Malik Willis being quarterback for the Titans, but look for the Titans to just try to control this game as much as they can with Derrick Henry. Work the play action a lot. See roll Malik Willis out of the pocket. See what they can do. I like the Titans plus 11, plus a 12 here, but the Chiefs should win this game against a rookie quarterback. But it makes me a little bit nervous just because it's a big number for a team going against the Titans. Colts versus Patriots. This line has since moved to -5.5 um, in the Patriots' favor. But I like the Patriots in the situation because backup rookie quarterbacks against Bill Belichick don't seem to thrive. Then after that being me mentioning Sam Ehlinger, the quarterback for the Colts, in Matt Ryan's absence, these guys in the Colts, they cannot block anything, especially the pass blocking scheme. I don't know too much to say. I like the Patriots here. I know I recommended them against the Bears, and that really, shot me in the foot. But I think this is a great game for the Patriots to go against a Colts team that really hasn't been able to run the ball effectively with Jonathan Taylor, and certainly won't be able to pass the ball too much against some great pair of cornerbacks with for the Patriots, and then a solid pass rush, and obviously Bill Belichick being the mastermind behind that. Also, like the Patriots situation. Moving on, the Dolphins at the Bears. Since moved to 4.5 for the Dolphins, I think part of that is the departure of Roquan Smith, arguably the Bears, probably not even arguably the Bears' best player. I like the Dolphins here to cover this 4.5, because I think this Bears defense, especially without their leader and best player Roquan, is going to be really hurting. Their front seven's already one of the worst in football, and now it's got to be the worst without Smith back there propping everything up, being that glue on the defense. Dolphins should be able to run the ball very effectively with Mostert here. That's going to set up the play action. That's going to set up big plays, big holes, in soft coverage for guys like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill that have been tearing it up all season long. I really like the Dolphins in this situation here. I think it's a great pick if you're trying to hold off on one of these top teams above. And finally, we got Minnesota, 3-point favorite at Washington. Minnesota right now, 6-1, looking like a very solid football team, especially when you got, two-headed monster at running back with Madison and obviously Dalvin Cook. Justin Jefferson seems to be the best wide receiver in football, in my opinion, especially with Cooper Kupp going down with an ankle injury on Sunday. This is -3 surprised me a little bit. I thought the Vikings would be favored more. You would think a 6-1 team going against, a backup quarterback, even on the road, be favored by more than 3 points. And so that kind of gives me red flags and alarms start getting set off. And that's kind of reading trap game to me. Um, you would think the Vikings should have no problem beating Washington. And that's what it seems like in my mind. I can't, there's not too many reasons in my head that the Vikings don't take care of business here, except for this line is so fishy being -3. So if I could go back and do this video again, I'd probably put a perceived with caution next to the Vikings too, just because this doesn't make too much sense to me. I would probably, if I was setting the line arbitrarily, I'd probably put Vikings at -4, -4.5. But -3 points on the road against a team that I don't think is that great in Washington. Kind of scares me a little bit for the Vikings. To Washington's credit, one, Taylor Hunt, he's been looking really good since stepping in. Definitely, at the very least, provide a spark plug for this offense. And two, in that Washington defense, they don't like the Bills. They don't have to blitz that much to get a lot of pressure getting after the quarterback. They can send 4 guys, drop back 7 in coverage, and still get some pressure on the quarterback. And that's really going to help in the situation where, one, Kirk Cousins isn't the best against, QB hurries and QB pressures. And two, you can need all the help you can get trying to stop Justin Jefferson, all the guys in coverage you can afford. So that definitely, you can see how the matchup kind of sways in Washington's favor, at least in a few aspects in that game. So I'd be a little bit more careful about the Vikings here this week. But that's every single game that I had to talk about. Again, I think the Bengals are a really good spot for value this week, but ultimately it is up to you and whatever you pick. But I hope that my video could inform you a little bit and, help you out, get you one step closer to winning your Survivor League.